now. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our networking cafe. My name is Athena Mitchell, and this is our networking cafe for Just to Start. I would like to introduce myself as one of the coaches at SCC, First Source Jobs Program, and I will pass it over to my other coach, Olsen.
Good morning, everybody. I am also a coach at SCC. Happy to be here with you. I'm Pastor Renee Taylor, my manager.
Good morning, everybody. I am Renee Taylor. I oversee First Source and these amazing coaches. I'll be here in the background, but welcome and thanks so much for being with us.
Renee, you can pass it to somebody else.
I'm going to pass it to Wilbur.
Hello, my name is Wilbert. Now, guess my name is Wilbert Pierre. Welcome. I'm here this morning. I always on time, but I'm here today.
You can pass it, Wilbur.
I'm passing to
Priyanka, I believe.
Priyanka.
Yeah, you can call Pri. Hello, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm very excited to know about Just to Start. My name is Priyanka Desai, and I'm an international student. In the past, I've worked with First Source, and I'm very excited to know more about Just to Start.
Awesome, Priyanka. Well, welcome to our networking cafe. And Corinne, we're going to pass it to you.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me, guys. Really excited to meet all of you and to share a little bit more about the work that I do with my awesome team over at Just to Start. I'm the Director of Workforce Development over there. So I oversee our adult training programs. I'm going to tell you about two of those today and also some of the upcoming stuff that we have that we're really excited about. So really, really happy to be here and share all this with you guys. Awesome. And I have a PowerPoint that I can use if that's helpful, or we can have more of a conversation. I am game for whatever.
Yeah, so normally we have which I thought that we have passed along, which I could still email you. But basically we could start with just what the program's all about and just letting everybody know what's the program all about and how we all can access you and have a great understanding of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is it okay to show a PowerPoint, or would
you? Yeah.
Okay.
So I definitely made you co-host, so you're good to start.
Okay, let me go ahead and share. All right, we'll get to the beginning here. Okay, can you guys all see that? And I'll turn it on to presentation mode here. Okay, awesome. So like I said, I oversee our workforce training programs. So Just to Start is a community development corporation, which is you guys are all familiar with those, but we do a lot of community work, and we are a little unique as a community development corporation because we have such a big education and training component, which isn't always present for all CDCs. So really excited to be involved in this for our programming. So we also have youth programming, which I will not be talking about today, but it's another really exciting piece of all of the educational work that we do at Just to Start. So like I said, we have two adult career training programs, a biomedical careers training program that's been around for more than 30 years, if you can believe it, and an IT careers training program, which has been around since 2018. And we modeled that after all the success of the bio program. So we really are focused on those kind of like science and tech areas, making sure that people have access to those areas without necessarily needing to go and do tons of college and training and stuff like that, because we recognize that some people are really eager and ready to get into some decently paying fields in the area, and there are abundant jobs, as you may know, in bio and IT spaces, and even just a little bit of training can help people be set up for success in those spaces. So our bio careers training program. You guys, I'm sure, know all about all the exciting life sciences work that happens in this area. Maybe not in detail, but it's definitely there. Cambridge is a hub for that, which is where we're located. We're currently in Inman Square, but we're very close to the Somerville border. So it's really exciting for us to be able to work with Somerville organizations, Somerville residents, as well as Cambridge residents and other people in the kind of Metro North area, because I think we're all in a position to benefit from these exciting fields that are booming in our area. To be eligible for our programming, you can see the requirements down here at the bottom. We do have a priority for Cambridge and Somerville residents because of how we receive funding. But if you're not a Cambridge or Somerville resident, we still absolutely have some spaces available. So we tell people, you know, don't think that you're disqualified because of that, but definitely special spaces set aside for Cambridge and Somerville residents now at this point. You have to have a high school diploma or an equivalency. It can be from the US or another country as long as it's translated. And we follow low to moderate income guidelines through like the HUD established guidelines. So, you know, most people fall into those categories that we work with. But if you happen to be extremely wealthy, this might not be the program for you, but it's usually not a concern for people. You have to legally be eligible to work in the US. You don't have to be a US citizen, but you have to have some sort of status that allows you to legally work in the US. And we do have entrance exams, depending on the program. They're either reading and writing or reading and math. So I can talk a little bit more about those as we go too. And I'm very flexible in presenting this. So if anybody has questions, I don't know how you guys normally do these, but I am totally happy to be interrupted. I will try to make sure I can see everybody on this screen. So anybody that has questions at any point, please feel free to interrupt me. Yes, Pri.
I have a quick question on the eligibility number, the last second one, like must be eligible to work in US. So does it mean that you have to have a work permit for a certain time period or just the visa?
You do have to have a work permit or a permit status. So I'm not an expert in this. I know that some visas do allow you to work and some don't. So we usually, if there's any uncertainty, we have some people on my team that are much better experts at that, and I'm happy to connect you with that. So basically,
Sure.
if you could go get a job somewhere legally right now at like a CVS or something like that, then you're all set. So that's kind of how we measure it for people. And sometimes people are in process of getting a green card or getting a worker's permit or something like that. Sometimes it's you've already initiated that process, but it hasn't happened yet. We do require that people have that at the start of our programming. So, if you haven't received it by the time we start the programming, then we would defer you to the next group. We run this program yearly. So it's something where if you're not ready for it yet, or you haven't quite met the eligibility requirements yet, we are happy to kind of help guide you through the process up to a certain point, and then, keep you in our network, keep you connected so that when you're ready or able to do the program, that we have some spots that are hopefully available for you.
Got it. Actually, I'm asking this question because I am eligible to work right now, but I have the work permit until August of this year. So
I see.
we can obviously, as you said, that we can discuss it separately and see if I'm eligible or not.
Yes, sometimes that depends on what you think your likelihood of getting that renewed is, right? So some workers' permits are pretty easily renewable. Some are for a very defined period of time. So essentially what we want is that once you graduate from the program, that you can go and apply and get a job. So that's what we're looking at. I will tell you that our programming, it's 9 months and we're in the middle of it right now. So we're not going to be running any programming immediately. So this is kind of for you guys to keep in mind and potentially prepare for the cohorts that we'll be running next year.
Thank you. Thank you for answering.
Yeah, of course. Wilbert, I'm sorry if I said that wrong.
I have two questions.
Okay, great.
My first question is like, is the training for the training, you have to go to the office, or you have to do it on Zoom?
Yep, that's a great question. So we are mostly in person now. So traditionally the program was entirely in person. We did move online for a while during the pandemic, but we're back to a hybrid setup where we are in-person 4 days a week and online 1 day a week. And like I
Did
said,
you guys pay for the program?
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you all about those good benefits and free stuff. Yeah, I should have led with that. That's always everybody's favorite part anyway. It's free. So more to come on that in just a minute. But yes, absolutely, it's a free program. And to just go back to your first part of that. So we are doing classes in person. Like I said, right now we're located in Inman Square, but I'm going to tell you guys for the next cohorts that are coming up, we are moving to a slightly different spot in Cambridge because we're building a brand new space that's going to have a beautiful bio lab and a beautiful IT lab and great classroom space. So the next group of students that comes through the program gets to be the first ones to use our beautiful brand new state-of-the-art education space. So it's going to be a really exciting time for the next group of students that enrolls in our program. So I'm really excited about that.
Inman Square, is that in Cambridge or Somerville?
So it is in Cambridge. It's right next to the Alewife T station. So it's actually going to be a little easier to get to for people because you won't have to necessarily take a ton of buses to get there. It'll be right on the red line. So it might still be, a few stops and a few transfer something for people depending on where you are in the area, but it's right on the red line, a few steps away from the T stop. So it's going to be pretty convenient for people. We're hoping.
But you say, is that for you say is this for free, or they have to pay you for the program?
The program
But
is
the
totally
program
free.
is free. But when you go to the program, did they pay you, or is it for?
That's a great question. So the program is free. So no tuition, no cost like that for students. I'll tell you about some of the other benefits, but we also do have some stipends that we're able to provide. It's not universal yet. I'm working on it. So the goal for me is to have every student in the program receive a stipend. Right now we're at about half. So the stipend money comes through a series of grants from different cities. So Somerville residents, the grant that we received through the city of Somerville is very generous, and it has a stipend for Somerville residents. We also have some special Cambridge funding that comes through to provide stipends for some Cambridge residents. My hope is that by the time we get into this new space that I'm telling you about, so the next cohorts, I would love to make sure that we have a stipend for everyone. I can't promise that at this point, but I can tell you that I'm very hopeful, right? So can't promise anything, but we're very hopeful that we have stipends for every student. And it's a 9-month program, and the stipend is a total of $7,000. So we split it up. It ends up being, it's too early for me to do hard math, but it ends up being around $700 to $800 a month, something like that, that we are able to provide for students. It's really the goal of the program, because it's intense, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. We find that students are most successful when they're able to reduce their work hours if they're working full-time, right? But we recognize that people have a lot of financial responsibility in their lives, right? You have to pay your bills, you have to feed your kids, you have to do all this kind of stuff. So we provide the stipend as a way to help students cut back a little bit on their work hours if they're able, without having an impact on their financial stability while they're in the program. So that's the hope of providing the stipend for students in the program. Athena, did you have a question?
What is the age criteria for this program?
18 plus.
Oh, okay.
So we require the high school diploma, and I often have people say, I'm 60, is it too late for me to do the program? Nope. We have students really Our average age tends to be in the late 30s, early 40s.
Okay.
We do have some young folks that come that are in their early 20s. It's not too often that we have somebody fresh out of high school. Usually people are coming a year or two after, but we're totally open and welcome to that. And there's really a broad range of ages. So there's a lot of diversity in the student populations that we have, which is great. I think it really sets up students for some great support networks within the classrooms.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Do you guys, I'm gonna be 37. Do you take people who's 37?
Absolutely. We totally take people that are 37. And if you happen to turn 38 before you're ready to do the program, we will still happily take you.
Okay, I have another question.
Sure, go ahead.
My question, like, if you don't have a high school, if you lost your high school diploma, but I am a citizen, can you, if I lost my high school diploma, can I get my, my, I don't know how to say it.
So we do
If-
need a record of your high school diploma did you get it here in this country or in a different country?
I went to Cambridge, went to Latin school.
Okay, so you should easily be able to reach out to them and they can help you with that.
I used to do it, but they tell me the way I don't have it because my English is squeezy. The way I passed English, but I didn't pass math. That's why they told me to come on the stage. They give me some like, I don't know, the paper, not diploma, the paper to say you graduate.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a high school diploma or GED?
So you would have to definitely call Angela and Wilbur, and they can help you with that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you, like I said, we have two different programs. We have a biomedical careers program and an IT careers program. The kind of logistics and the timing of those are very similar, but obviously the content is a little different. So we tell people, to think about what of those two areas are you really interested in, science and biology. A lot of people have a piqued interest in this right now because of all of the stuff that they're learning about the COVID vaccines and the things you hear in the news. So that's gotten people really excited about biotechnology. But you might be more of a computer person. Maybe you are already a computer whiz at home. Maybe you just really like technology and want to learn more. So we always ask people to think about like what really interests you, right? Because if you're going to pursue this, this is really meant to be a career path for you. So it's something that we're hoping most people stick with long term because it's a great career path either way that you choose. So we ask people to think a little bit about where their interests lie and what they're good at and what they really enjoy doing. So you can see a little bit at the top here, we offer biology and chemistry classes to give you kind of the fundamentals of that. And we also do a lot of hands-on laboratory skills. Right now we have laboratory classes at Bunker Hill because we don't have our own lab space. But like I said, the next cohorts that are coming through we're gonna have our own brand new fancy lab space. So it'll all be under one roof. It's going to be really, really exciting. And you guys will get to use some really nice new equipment to learn some of these techniques. We also do, even in the biology course, there's still a little bit of computer work because all of the science and the laboratory work is so connected to computers. So we make sure that you have some fundamental computer skills. It's not as many as you would learn in the IT program, but enough for you to have that base of computer knowledge to be successful. And then these at the bottom, these are some of the types of titles that our students have when they land their entry-level roles in the biotechnology space. So you could be a lab assistant, biomanufacturing technician, quality control technician, all sorts of different companies call them different things, but you'll see that word technician a lot and usually some version of lab or laboratory in the title. And you don't need any previous experience. So most people have taken a science class maybe in high school or middle school or something like that. You may have taken some science classes in college before. This program wouldn't be a good fit for somebody that already has a degree in science. So if you've already gotten a degree in biology, either from here or from another country, this is probably going to be a little too foundational for you. So, but if you've taken a couple courses and you've liked it, or if you haven't taken a science class in a really long time, but you know it's interesting to you, all of those folks are welcome to apply. Priya, you still have your hand up. I'm assuming that might be from your earlier question, but I just want to pause for a second to make sure I'm not missing a question from you.
Sorry, I didn't lower it down.
Oh, no, that's okay. Just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure I
thank
wasn't missing anything.
Yeah, no, it'd be good. Thank you.
Okay, great. And so this slide now talks about kind of the IT area of things. So this has a lot more detail about Windows operating systems, networking, so hooking up all those cables and making sure you're connected to the internet, general computer concepts and applications like Google Suite, Microsoft Office, all those kinds of things, PC hardware and software. The students actually take apart computers and all those chips and stuff that's in there. I don't understand any of that stuff, but the students learn a lot and they love it. And I forgot to mention this with bio, but with both programs, we do have a partnership with Bunker Hill Community College that allows you to get some college credits when you complete the program. So you're not going to get a full degree out of it, but you're going to get some credits worth. So the biology program, you get 7 credits, and the IT program, you get 15 credits. And what you can do is you can start working after you're done with the program. And what a lot of our students do is get full-time jobs, and then maybe part-time take a class in the evening so that they can keep working on their education while they're bringing in some money to help pay their bills and set their families up for success. So that's always something great to keep in mind too. You do not have to go on to more education after this is done. So if you just want a good job and you want to settle in, that's great. But a lot of our students do take advantage of getting some of those credits to be a part-time student while they're working so that they can keep moving up that career ladder. And then you can see at the bottom here, these are some of those IT jobs that our students might land. The interesting thing about IT is that it's everywhere, right? So if you are in a bio lab, that's kind of a very specific place, right? There are a lot of biotech companies in the area, but you will be working in a science space. IT is everywhere. So you might end up being an IT support person at a bank. You might end up being an IT support person at a college. You might end up being an IT support person at a biotech company. So really you could be kind of anywhere that uses computers, which is pretty much everywhere now, offering some basic help support. And this is, helping people get connected to their printer, helping people install new software updates, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so these are some general characteristics that we found that are true of students that are successful in our program. So we offer a lot of support, but like I said before, and I'll tell you a little bit more detail about the hours and stuff like that, it's a big commitment, right? We don't want people to enter into this lightly because it is, you get a lot out of it, but you also have to put a lot of your personal time and energy into it to be successful. So we're really looking for students who are mature and able to juggle multiple responsibilities. You're going to be a student. For some of you, it might have been a long time since you've been a student, so that's a little bit of a transition. And you might be supporting a family. You might still be working part-time. You might still have a lot of other responsibilities. So being able to kind of juggle all of those things is really important. Time management goes along with that, right? Making sure that you're able to carve out time in your schedule for your classes, but also homework that you might have, while still being able to meet all of your family's responsibilities that you need to take care of. Able to reliably commute to classes. So we are going to be on the red line at the LYT stop for the next cohort. So we're hopeful that most students can take public transportation. If you happen to be a Cambridge resident and have a parking permit, there are certainly side streets around there, but we're not going to have a parking lot for students. You guys probably know that in the Cambridge and Somerville areas, parking is a hot commodity. So we really need students to be able to reliably access public transportation. I'll finish this slide and then I'm going to come to your question. And we also ask students to really be thinking about their financial needs before they join the program, so that what we never want is a student to join the program and then realize that they're not able to pay their bills and things like that. We never want to put anybody in a situation like that. So we ask students to really think through what that could look like. Are they able to cut back on some of their work hours if needed? And like I said, we're hopeful to have everybody receive a stipend, but that is not guaranteed at this point. So we want people to kind of do some planning to figure out if they can make this program work for them without that. Okay, so Wilbert, I see you have a question. It also looks like you are in the waiting room. I don't know if you've signed in with it. Pause for a second. Maybe you're getting signed back on. I'm going to go on to the next one, but then I'll check back in with you for your question. Okay, so here is some of the logistics. I've been telling you it's a big commitment, but what does that mean, right? So the program it's really about 8.5 months long, but we say it's a 9-month commitment. The next cohort is going to be a little ways away. It's starting in September of 2024 because we're moving into this new space. So this is a little bit of a future planning thing for people. So that can be good in a lot of ways if you have to work out with your family, a schedule, maybe save up a little bit so that you can make this work. We are going to be offering some shorter term programming in the fall of 2023, which I'll share with you guys at SCC as we have more details on it. So there may be some other different types of opportunities to get some training with us before this cohort starts. But if you're interested in these kind of traditional programs that I was telling you about, the next cohorts are starting in 2024. And there'll be two semesters, kind of like a regular academic year in a college program, a fall and a spring semester. We tell students to plan for 15 to 20 hours a week on top of that Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. schedule. And like I said, most of our classes will be held in person at our new location, which is called Ringe Commons. It's in Cambridge, and it's right across the street from the Alewife T station. So let me pause there to see if there are questions about that. Pri, did you have a question? I see you unmuted. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, so I just wanted to know, like, since you said it's going to be, the next cohort is going to be in September 24, as it is a long time from now, what are the nearest or the earliest options, if you can just give a brief thing about that?
So the one thing that may be happening before then is an animal care technician training program. It's a new thing that we're going to be hopefully piloting in the fall of this year, so 2023. So if you have any sort of understanding about the biology research space, you might know that some labs use research animals, right?
Yes.
Primarily mice is a big it's an animal that's most commonly used in life science research. Those mice need to be cared for. They need to be made, you know, there's a lot of different scientific elements of that. So that's a really good fit for people that are kind of animal lovers that also want to be engaged in science. It's not for everyone, right? Sometimes people are like, I do not want anything to do with that. So it's kind of a very special role. The hours with those jobs tend to be really good. They're pretty stable. There's opportunities for advancement and training there. So I don't have a ton of information about that yet because, like I said, it's a new program that's coming up. But as soon as I have some more details, I will pass that along to SCC and share it more broadly as well. And I'm always welcome to come back for another chat once we get that up and running. But that program is going to be considerably shorter. So we're aiming for about 10 to 12 weeks instead of 8 to 9 months. So that's something to keep in mind. If you like animals, if you like working with animals, if you're comfortable administering medicines to animals, checking on their health, things like that, that could be a good fit. And I would say keep checking our website. We'll definitely be posting there for updates on new programming as it comes out, but we'll also make sure that all of our community partners know about these developments so they can be a good resource for anyone that's interested too.
Got it. And do you think there is a kind of any waiver or a way to continue just to get into the cohort that is running right now, if I have a previous experience?
So unfortunately, we don't do any sort of admissions once the program has started. So we just
Okay.
started the new group for 2023 in January, and they'll run until September. So we don't bring in people partway. But
Okay.
you know, the admissions process starts well before this. So we have info sessions that students attend, which are kind of similar to what I'm doing today. And then we do testing and we do an interview process. So it's also great to get started early if you think you're interested. So some of this stuff will start coming up in early 2024. And we always tell people it's great to test early, because if your reading or math scores might not be exactly where they need to be for the program, it gives you time to work on those. We have some partners at the Cambridge Community Learning Center that offer free reading and math classes to get students ready. So we always encourage people to start planning early, because sometimes that might mean prepping your finances, your schedule with your family, but also maybe working on your reading and math skills, so you have those baseline levels to be successful in the program.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you for answering.
Of course. Okay, and this is just an, oh, Athena, did you have a question before
My question is, after you've given the training, do you help people with finding the jobs?
We sure do. Great question. Yes. We tell people that we offer at least a year of follow-up support, but I can tell you that once you're an alumni of the program, we are always happy to help you. I told you guys early on that the bio program has been around for 30 years. We've occasionally had a student that, let's say, that graduated in like 2005 that pops back up, and none of our current staff knows them because we haven't been around that long in the program. But they're looking to, you know, transfer to a new job, looking for some help with their resumes. We provide all of those services. So as the program gets closer to the end, we really ramp up some of those job readiness training pieces. So we do resume development, we do interview practice with the students. We have a career week at the very end of the program where we bring in employer partners and you can hand out your resume to them. We do mock interviews where industry professionals come in and you kind of model what an interview would be like, so that you feel prepared to be successful once you leave the program. But we have an alumni career coach. We're actually expanding that program to offer even more support, additional workshops, things like that for our students. But it's a really robust support system. And we have a LinkedIn group where we post jobs. We do a job search club. There's really a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, so
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And like I said, this does not currently exist, but you can see this drawing here, this front building. We own, Just to Start owns one of the affordable housing towers that's over near Alewife. If you've ever driven past there, there are those really giant towers there. We own one of those, and we took some of the parking lot space. There was a lot of parking lot space, which is a relic from years past when there wasn't a T station there, before parking was such a hot commodity everywhere. So we took some of that space, and they're currently building it now. It does not quite look like this yet, but early 2024, this space will be complete. There will be 3 levels down at the bottom that houses Just to Start. So our youth program that I mentioned before, we have housing programming, and then all of our adult career training programs. And then there's also more affordable housing units on the top 3 floors as well. And we're also partnering with the city of Cambridge to have some universal pre-K programming running in that space too. So it's going to be a really exciting place with a lot of different opportunities for people in the community. And we hope that our students that are in the training program will also get to take advantage of some of the financial opportunity programming that we have there and some of the other pieces of what Just to Start offers, so that it's kind of like a one-stop support location to really help people advance their careers and their financial well-being. And then this is just a little for anybody that's interested in kind of architectural type drawings. You can see on the right side here, this is what our adult training space is going to be. So this upper left piece is our new bio lab, which is super exciting, and all this stuff, excuse me, all of the perimeter around here has benches that will house all sorts of fancy lab equipment, centrifuges, PCR machines, all the stuff that you would need to practice on to be successful as a lab technician. And then this kind of top middle space is the IT lab. So all of the students will have a special workstation that has a laptop, a desktop computer, all sorts of cabling and connections and crazy stuff to really learn the inner workings of computers. And then we have some just general classroom and office space in there as well. So it's going to be a great location. Wilbert, did you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, my son was shut my laptop. I was missed all the information. Sorry.
That's okay. You didn't miss too much. And I'm also happy to share. I know this is being recorded. I'm also happy to share slides if that's helpful to have. And we have some kind of like one pagers with some of the real like bulleted highlights that I can share as well. So let me keep going through, and then if you have some questions that you feel like weren't answered as we move forward, then we can make sure that you get all that information. Sound
Okay,
good?
I would like to start I miss everything. You told me for the where is the program is. I was have another question.
Okay.
My other question is like, do you guys have a like if you don't want to come to the in person, do you guys have a like Zoom classes online too if you don't want to go in person?
We do require our students to be in person for most of the classes. Like I was saying earlier, right now we're in kind of a hybrid system where we have students in person 4 days a week and online 1 day a week. So there will be some Zoom classes, but in order to learn the hands-on piece with the lab skills for bio or the IT where you're like wiring a computer and stuff like that, you really have to be in person to get the most out of that training. So that's why we don't offer fully online options. I mean, certainly, hopefully we're in a better place moving forward with the pandemic. Certainly if there were safety concerns, we have temporarily moved classes online. So we're able to do that. It's just not the ideal situation. So we will be holding in-person classes only for students unless safety tells us we need to do otherwise.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Okay, and then this is the part maybe that I should always lead with, and I always save it for the end. So this tells you some of the benefits of our programming. So it is free, which is usually the thing that people are most excited about. Certainly there are other options out there for training. You could go directly to a community college, take some classes there, but most of those things are not free. So this is something that I think does set our programming apart, that it's free. We also have access to laptops and equipment for the students. So we don't give you a laptop to own forever, but we give you a laptop to borrow the entire time you're in the program. So for that 9-month program, you have a new laptop, or sometimes it's 1 year old, but they're pretty new laptops that you can be taking back and forth with you home and into the classroom, so you can do your homework, so you can do any sort of, software programs that you might need to work on to fully understand the content. So we make sure that students have access to that. We provide tutoring for students that might have some challenges with a topic here or there. Our teachers are also really wonderful and always happy to stay after class to help students. Any materials that you might need, whether that's lab equipment, textbooks, software, lab notebooks, anything like that, we provide for you. So we tell the students the program is completely free in terms of money, but it isn't free and that it is really costing your time, right? So you do need to think about it. It's a big investment for our students, so we recognize that. So we don't take that lightly, but we want to make sure that all those other pieces are taken care of for you. And then Athena, to some of your previous questions, you can see there on the bottom some of those alumni services that we provide. So the resume development and the career week piece are happening as the students are currently in the programming, but then we are offering tons of post-graduation job attainment support. We're ramping up our alumni workshops, which allow students to add additional skill sets. So you know, you leave with this really robust set of skills. But we also have the capability now with our own new lab space to offer kind of boot camps and one-off trainings if you want to add an additional lab skill or an additional IT skill to your resume to maybe help you get that promotion, or to go into a different company that has a few more requirements or something like that. So we're always trying to make sure that we have additional upskilling opportunities for people so that they're able to grow in their careers. Yeah, Athena?
I remember a little ways back that you guys had, you know, you were mentioning that they have housing.
Mhm.
Do you have applications for participants to apply for? Like, are there still housing out there for people to get from Just to Start? Was it
Yes.
totally different programming altogether?
It's pretty different programming. So most of our housing, so to be honest, I don't fully understand how all the programming works, but it goes through kind of the standard affordable housing channels, right? So students would need to, or anybody, whether they were a student in the program or otherwise, would need to, you know, go on to a wait list and obtain the voucher, and then kind of go through the standard kind of pipelines to obtain affordable housing in Cambridge.
Is it within this program right here though? Like, say that you have all the trainings going on and someone is going through a housing difficulty, could they apply for it around this, you know, around this program? As long as they're doing this program? Because the reason why I'm asking like that is because I was told that people were able to go to their program, finish the 9-month program, and some people were assisted on getting an apartment with Just to Start, excuse me.
For sure. So absolutely, where students are eligible with like where they're living and all of the other pieces that go into place for you know, having access to housing, we absolutely help students with that. So it is often the case that a student, for whatever reason that might need some support, doesn't specifically qualify or is further down like the wait list or something like that if they are a Cambridge resident to get into housing that we manage. So there's not necessarily a direct connection there, but because we have really wonderful housing team members, they're always happy to help kind of provide some resources for students to help guide them. So we've connected students with housing authorities in other cities where they currently reside. We do have some emergency moving grants that are associated with a student that might need to like really abruptly transfer to a different housing option for a variety of different reasons. We offer a lot of housing mediation services for students that might be having conflict with landlords or be facing eviction and things like that. So we have a lot of services that aren't necessarily specifically directed toward our students, but that our students could benefit from. And if for some reason they don't qualify, our staff is really knowledgeable about directing them to the appropriate community resources that might be able to support them. We also, during the pandemic, and we're planning to continue it for the foreseeable future, we have a Safe and Secure Fund, which is emergency grants for anyone associated with Just to Start that might come across like an abrupt emergency of some kind. So that can be our students, that can be our housing residents. And some things that we funded in the past are somebody's car breaks down and they don't have a reliable way to get to work and they need money for repairs and stuff like that. So we do offer some of those kind of safety nets to anyone that's a student, resident, or client within the kind of Just to Start community. So it's another great resource that we have too.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So this is the application process, and like pre-highlighted earlier, we are a little ways out from our 2024 cohort. So I'm sorry that I can't offer you guys anything like next month. But like I said, a lot of our students really do like to take some time to really plan how this is going to fit into their lives, because it is a big commitment. And sometimes that takes a lot of prep, whether that's financial prep, education prep, whatever that looks like for people. So even if it sounds far away, I would definitely recommend that if you're interested in the program, you start thinking about it now and how this would work for you in your life, you know, come 2024 when we're in the new space. So We will have info sessions starting in the spring of next year. As I have more information about that shorter term new programming that I was talking about, I will pass that along. We will probably be having info sessions for that this summer. So that is coming up a little sooner. But, you know, we post things on our website to keep people updated. We also reach out to community partners as we're starting to open up our recruitment process. So we'll make sure that everybody gets the information they need when things are up and running for the next cohort. And like I mentioned before, we do entrance exams. So after an info session, we have students fill out some preliminary application materials. And there we're mostly just checking eligibility, right? So do you meet the income guidelines? Do you have a high school diploma? Are you able to work? And then if the answers to those are yes, we move students forward with an exam. Again, for bio, it's math and reading. For IT, it's reading and writing. And if you don't meet the testing requirements, which are set around 8th to 10th grade levels in all of those, if you don't meet those, it's not the end of the world, especially if you get started in the recruitment process early, because we usually have several months before the program starts, between when you take the exam and when the program starts. So it's time for people to take some classes if they need to, or maybe just study on their own if it's just been a while, but you know the math and you just haven't practiced it. So we definitely tell people to get testing as soon as they can to give themselves some time if they need to bump up those scores a little bit. And then once students have successfully passed the tests, they will interview with 1 or 2 members of our Just to Start workforce program staff. And then during that time, like right before the interview, you would submit additional application materials. We ask you some questions to learn about, you know, why you think this program is a good fit for you, how you've already planned to fit this into your life so that you know you can make it happen with all of your other responsibilities and things like that. And then we review all applicants, and we have, traditionally, we've only had 18 seats in bio and 18 seats in IT. As we move into the new space, because we own our space now and we have a little bit more flexibility, we're going to be doubling that. So there are going to be actually a lot more opportunities for people. So we're going to start with 36 spots available in our bio program and 36 spots available in our IT program. We're still doing classes of 18. There'll just be 2 classes. So you'll still get a lot of like one-on-one teacher support. The classes won't be very big. You'll get to like build community with your fellow classmates, but we'll be running multiple cohorts within the same space. Okay, and that I am not Tanya. Tanya is our recruitment person. She's kind of our first line of support and runs a lot of our recruitment process. So that's her contact information there. She also, this is our general email for the whole program. So Tanya manages that email account for us. So if you send questions to that, you'll probably hear from her, but maybe one of the other staff members might chime in as well. So that's a great way to get information. You'll see our website addresses right there, justtostart.org, pretty simple. And then there are some drop-down menu items along the top where you can learn all about our services. So if something else I said piqued your interest, you want to learn more about the youth programs or some of the things we offer with housing and financial opportunity, that would all be on our website as well. I am going to stop sharing if that's okay, so I can see everyone's bubbles a little bigger, and just see if there are any final questions. I know that's a lot of information. So definitely if it's something that's of interest to people, I would say keep an eye out. You can go right now to our website and sign up as someone that's interested in our programming. And then we will have your email address and contact info in our system. So once recruitment opens up, we will reach out to you so you know. So, and then once recruitment is actively going, you can sign up online for an info session. So right now you won't be able to do that because we haven't opened that up yet, but you can put your contact info in, and then we'll have your record of being interested in the program, and we'll reach out to you once things get moving.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, Gladys, welcome to our networking cafe. Would you happen to have any questions?
Hi. No,
Hi, Gladys.
because I miss a lot of information, but I'm thinking my two question is, what age people can study there?
Yes, that was an earlier piece. So you did miss that, but it's 18 plus.
Okay.
So there's no limit. We have not had somebody in our program that is 100 yet, but I am not, closing that possibility. So, but most of our students are usually in their 30s or 40s is usually where the students are, but we take a wide range of students, usually like 20 to late 60s is where most of our students fall.
Okay, and my other question is, what level of English, for example, I Spanish speaker, so you are patient with people who maybe we can't understand 100% English, or?
So we do test people's basic reading and writing skills, but I can tell you 90% of our students are non-native English speakers. So nobody has to have perfect English by any means to do our programming. We're testing for reading and writing levels around 8th grade-ish. We do have a test that we give students as part of the entrance. And if you don't test high enough on the exam, we have classes that we can refer you to that are also free, where you can work on your English and math skills if you need them, so that then you're able to test again and get that level up to where it needs to be. So you don't have to have perfect English, and if your English isn't quite ready for the program, we have support to help it get there. So I would say don't worry about it. Almost everyone in our program does not have English as their first language.
Okay, my special question is, my special last question is, I think it's very important that people have Social Security, right? Documentation.
So everybody, to be eligible for the program, you need to be legally able to work in the US.
Oh, okay.
So
So there's no change for people who doesn't have, who's not able to work.
Well, so unfortunately, because we're a workforce training program, the goal of our programming is to get people into these bio jobs or these IT jobs. So it's really not like, if it were up to me, we would take anybody that wanted to learn about it. But because of the way that our funding works, if you're not eligible to work in the US, then you're not going to be able to get that bio job or get that IT job that you want at the end of the program, which is why we have that rule in place, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned that people are, if they don't pass the written English, how far in advance can they apply and test to have that amount of time to take the class to try to improve their scores?
So we have kind of like a rolling fluid recruitment
Okay.
window. It's usually about 6 months long. So it's pretty extensive. So I always recommend, if people are interested, they get in early. So we're going to be opening for that September 2024. We're going to start the process in the spring, probably the mid-spring of 2024. So if people are interested but are unsure of where their English or math skills might fall, I would definitely recommend getting in early, because we'll probably start the testing. So the first part is the info session. So we usually do a few of those. So we usually have the recruitment process running for a few weeks before we start scheduling testing sessions. But I would say like late spring is when we would start ramping up the testing. And then we partner with the CLC, and they run summer courses for the English and math and writing. So, and they have like the retest built into it, so that they would be able to then bring the students in, and they don't have to do all of those classes. If you only need reading, but you don't need math, then you would just take the reading classes.
Okay.
And then we usually reschedule the testing in enough time to give students time to interview and get all their documentation and stuff together. So, and we do kind of rolling admissions along that way. So we never fully enroll the program until we get closer to the start. So we give people an opportunity if they need to retest and stuff like that. But the earlier people get in, the more likely that they're going to be successful in the process, and the more seats that are open at that point to fill. So
in general, if reading and writing and reading, writing, math, reading, writing, and arithmetic. Yeah. If they're got issues, how long is the application process generally from start to finish?
So the way that we are going to be running it is it's still going to be kind of that 6-month window, but we're going to prioritize. So like I said in the beginning, we have certain reserved number of seats for Cambridge and Somerville residents because of how our funding works. So we are going to prioritize filling those seats at the beginning of the kind of recruitment process so that we know how many seats we have left for other folks that might not be Cambridge or Somerville residents, to give them a fair shot at things as well. Because we're kind of doing things in chunks with cohorts, any one individual that was kind of moving through that space would probably expect it to be a couple-month process before they found out definitively. And it doesn't mean that they're actively doing stuff during that period of time, but they might attend an info session and then schedule tests 2 weeks later, and then maybe we're waiting to amass a certain number of students, and then they interview 3 weeks after that or something like that. We try not to keep people waiting too long, but just the nature of kind of having the rolling admissions process, we do sort of tell people it's not going to be an immediate decision. So we do like to give people a warning that it'll be a little while before we can give them a final result. If we do end up having more people that are interested than we have spots, which has been the case the last couple of years, but like I said, we're doubling. So my hope is that anybody that's eligible and qualified and during the interview process shows that they're ready to make this happen, my hope is that we have a seat for them. If for some reason we get flooded with applicants and we have more qualified people than spots, we do put a wait list forward. It does happen that sometimes a person or two has to drop, like right before the program begins for family things or something like that. But we also then prioritize that wait list for the following year. So if for some reason a student wasn't able to get in the first year, but we still thought that they would be a good participant in the program, then we would give them priority for the year after.
Okay. And I've got 2 more questions and I'll shut back up. What is the likelihood of someone finishing the program and then going right into a remote position? We get a lot of, I just want to work remote. I don't want to come into the office. Is it very likely that that's an option once you graduate, no real experience in the field and just out of school and into a remote position?
I can say for the bio program, probably 0. Almost all of those bio programs are going to be in person. Bio jobs, are going to be in person. So it's really, because of the nature of science and research, it would be next to impossible, I think, for somebody to find like a job like that. It's not, I would say next to impossible. There may be one random job out there where somebody, but then you're not going to get to use the hands-on skills that you've developed. For IT, it's not impossible. I would also say that that's probably unlikely. Usually, there are certainly remote IT jobs out there. If somebody was really wanting one of those jobs, it might take longer to find it, right? Their job search might be extended while they were looking for something like that. They exist. There are absolutely remote help desk people. Obviously, a lot of us have dealt with them, but a lot of the jobs that our students land as they finish the program in IT are more on-site support. So helping, we've had students go to schools and help staff at schools get their computers set up, help install Windows and stuff like that. So probably impossible on the bio side of things, not impossible, but pretty unlikely on the IT side of things.
Okay. And would you have a ballpark on what someone could expect to kind of have as a starting salary on either side?
So you're seeing some big jumps on both sides. Again, it's gonna depend a lot on a student's flexibility in their job search. Some science jobs have interesting shifts, so they might not be great for people that are working with small kids. There are absolutely kind of 9-to-5 positions, right? But some of the biotech jobs that are paying even a little bit more are 4 12-hour shifts or something like that, and then you have a long weekend, or you might work like evenings or early mornings. So there's definitely something for everyone. But how flexible you are, if you're willing to travel a little outside of Boston, sometimes there can be some exciting jobs. We aim for students, when we partner with employers and try to make those connections, we are really pushing for nobody to be making less than $20 an hour in any of these positions. But we've found that some of because there's so much demand for these jobs, that some of those are creeping to the higher 20s per hour. So it can be pretty good. And again, a lot of that is going to depend on the market in those months, and like what companies you're interested in working in and stuff like that. But I would say something in the 20s is what a lot of our students are seeing.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I know that I'm sure that you get a lot of people that are non-documented. What do you do with those cases like that are non-documented? Do you have any other resources for them, or how do they go about it?
Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of in-house resources to support those individuals. I think, it's one of those things where there are people in the community, different organizations that are already doing that work and much better than we could anyway. So we do try to make some referrals where we can for students that are working on their documentation status and feel like they're kind of on a path to hopefully getting some sort of documentation that would allow them to work. We don't turn them away from going through like the process. So, if they are waiting on asylum cases, for example, or something like that, and they want to test and they want to interview, we don't deny that to anybody, because we know things can change for them, statuses can change, but we don't have any kind of like legal support or anything like that in-house, and we usually just do referrals. And certainly we, for students who need to work on their English and math, and wouldn't be eligible for the program anyway, and might also be working on their status, then we can absolutely make referrals to other programs where they can be working on their English and math skills while they're kind of getting their status sorted out, and hopefully all of those things will culminate in them being eligible for the program eventually.
Sure. All right. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
I have 2 questions.
Sure.
Because I want to know, when people assist at the program, after finish this program, how long does it take for participants to find a job? Because the goal is help people to find a job. When you finish the program, how long it take to find a good job?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. We get that question a lot. The answer to that is that it depends on how actively somebody is engaged in that process. So we never say that we guarantee somebody a job, because the ownership of that is on those individuals, and we empower them and get them as well prepared as we can. But so students, we tell students, we have a lot of, like I told you, we have like a career week at the end of the program, but we have a whole career readiness class. So that starts from the very beginning. They learn about the industry, they learn about like what's required of the jobs, and then we start bringing in employers to like share stuff. We do panels, we do tours sometimes when it's safe to see these companies. And there's a lot of those other skills that aren't just the technical biology or IT that we really try to really make sure students are aware that those are really a valuable piece of our training too, and what makes our training special, because you don't get that necessarily in like a traditional community college setting or something like that. So we find that when students are really engaged in those pieces of it, they're really working on their self-marketing pitch, they're really practicing those interview skill questions, they've done some of that job search practice, so they know where to look for the jobs, they understand what jobs are a good fit for them and their family and their needs, and then they hit the ground running. When we have those students that are really engaged in the process, they land jobs quite quickly. We do find sometimes that students, once they do the program, because it's intense, they usually want to take a breather. We have a lot of, like I said, non-native English speaker immigrant students in the program who often like to travel. It's a 9-month intensive period, so sometimes students will take the month after they graduate and visit friends and family in their home country. So it really depends on, how aggressively the student is doing the job search. But we had one student this year who, he needed the job. It was really essential for him and his family's financial stability. And he had a job the day after graduation, because he had gotten that ball rolling for himself, made some connections, and was ready to go. I would say active, really, aggressive job searching students will tend to find a job within the first couple months after they graduate. Students that are taking a more leisurely approach, it might be closer to 6 months till they find something. But that's really, we kind of everyone's choosing their own journey in this. So we try not to force people to move faster than they're ready. But we've had great success for students who are really actively engaged in the process, landing a job very quickly. There are plenty of jobs out there. Employers are calling us all the time. We have postings, which is great because it even allows students to be a little selective in where they're hoping to go.
Other question I have is, do you know what is the salary of a person with discapacity after they finish this program, or how to improve a person's income after this training? After this training, what is the salary average?
So I think let me answer, and then if I did not catch your question, please correct me. But we usually, most of the jobs that our students land are hourly rates, and they usually land, we aim for at least 20 for students. But like I was saying, there's a lot of demand, especially in bio for people, and those numbers have crept into the higher 20s per hour. We have some students who have gotten as much as $30 an hour. That's not necessarily the norm. We don't want people to expect that coming in, but we tell people to plan for at least $20 an hour. But the nice thing in these paths is that there's a lot of room for growth. Right, so students coming in could start at that salary. If they're doing a great job, they might get promoted to a lab manager or a support specialist too in IT and stuff like that. We have alumni from the program who are directors in these spaces now, who are making 6 figures. Everybody's path is a little different, and it depends, if what their ambition is in moving up that ladder. But like I was saying before, we're enhancing some of our alumni programming to help students with that career ladder, recognizing that some of the barriers that students face to just get into these industries are barriers that tend to persist, that don't allow them to have the same access to promotions, to mentoring, to networking support. So we're really trying to address those pieces as well to help all of our students move up that career ladder, even after they land those initial entry-level positions, if they want. Some of our students love the positions they land in and just want to stay there and be happy there, and that's great too. Did I answer your question? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, does anybody else have any questions? No. Well, thank you, Corinne.
Yeah.
We could come to a conclusion with our networking cafe, if that's okay with you, if you don't have anything else to share with us. But yes, thank you, and thank you everybody for joining us. And Corinne, we'll definitely stay in touch with you.
Yeah, awesome. Really nice to meet you all. Thanks for the great questions. Happy to share some materials with you guys, and again, add you kind of to our email list. Keep in contact with upcoming recruitment and stuff like that. And Renee, I know that we have a long-standing opportunity to connect and talk some more. So
Definitely.
looking forward to that too.
Perfect.
All righty, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Bye.
All right.